Hiya Dale, great to meet up with you always and do some work on your game. Quick key point really, stable upper axis was the key. What we see here at the start of your session is a movement down and forward with the upper axis, and then that's sort of maintained as you transition. You go further forward with the centre of the shoulders, you see the head drifting down and forward in that box. You get a little bit too much out in front of it. There's insufficient side bend here. As we come into the golf ball, you can see there that your axis tilt very, very level at that point. Very little separation by the time we get to P5.5. And then as we come into P6, there's a little bit of axis tilt there, but not a massive amount. And then we just continue to drift forward with the upper centre throughout the swing. So whilst the hips have moved forward, we don't have that tucked appearance because the upper centre has gone forward with it. You can see there the right hand coming off the club on that one, as though you were a little bit ahead of it and tried to dump the club at the last minute to hit the shots, and not the best finish you're ever going to make in the golf swing. So the first protocol was to try and prevent the club, or try and prevent the head, should I say, from drifting forward. Here I've got the pole at the side of your head. I'm actually going to push you away a little bit. So we're not quite, as you can see there, you've not dropped down as much either. And then I'm going to try and keep you there and push you back a little bit more to emphasise that axis tilt coming into the golf ball. And remember, the more angle you can create and the faster you can create it, from side bending to the left at P4 to side bending to the right at just after P5, if you will, coming into P6, the more potential for power and height you've got in your golf shots. So creating a little bit more axis tilt without the head dropping back is a good thing. Now we have the appearance that the hips have moved forward more. Hips haven't really done much different. Hips certainly haven't moved forward more. But what happened is we've stabilised the upper axis. Then what we're trying to do here is prevent the head from dropping down quite as much. Again, we've got the pole across the front of the head, trying to get you to maintain your height better throughout the swing. So again, we're just stabilising it from the down the line view. As you do that, it's quite a passive swing. This was actually your first attempt at it. You can see in the finish here we're looking much more tucked underneath the ball, or tucked underneath ourselves after we've hit the ball, than we were at the start of the session. So stabilising the upper axis all the way to P9 was the goal, both down the line and face on, but the predominant work we did was from face on. Now if we look here on the bottom left, what we've got is we've got the cane in the basket directly in front of you, and your feeling, this was the drill you went away with, was to stay on top of this cane throughout the swing. You can see there now we're not moving down as much, we're not moving forward at all. The other thing we touched on was trying to control what accumulator 4 was doing, so we didn't want the left arm travelling too far during the backswing, making things a little chaotic in the downswing. So from there now, staying on top of that cane all the way through, stabilising the upper centre, looking much more tucked underneath it than we are at the top left footage that we see. So just play that one through again. This was the drill that you spent most of the time doing during the day, just trying to stay on top of this cane all the way through, never getting behind it or in front of it, stabilising the upper axis. After an hour or two's practice on that particular drill with a little bit of a wider stance, left to your own devices on this one, much better position at the top than we were at the start of your session. We've controlled what accumulator 4 has done much better. We've stabilised the centre much more. We're not drifting out in front of it quite as much. The side bend to the left at the top of the backswing isn't as emphasised. On this one, as we start down, you can see the body unwinding very quickly and the centre staying a little bit too lined up for too long. On this one, we're going to see the upper centre staying back more. We're going to see slightly more axis tilt coming into P6. And then in the finish, much more tucked underneath and much more stable than what we saw at the front. See, the hand has to come off at that point. It just can't keep up with the body. So we stop you here and bring you back on the bottom right. Let's see a completely different look to all of these swings compared to your first one. Much more tucked underneath. Is the location of the hip, or the hip should I say, any different? Not necessarily. If we take an arrow and move it down from the back of your belt on the first one, and again on the last one, not looking too different, but what has changed is the location of the upper centre in relation to the lower centre. So stabilise the upper centre. In regards to hitting the ball further, keep hitting it hard and stopping quick. That's going to improve your kinematic sequence, as we discussed on the range yesterday, and I look forward to watching your progress over the coming months. Well done.